A lot of people are giving the Browns roster plenty of credit, saying, they're a team that could challenge Kansas City as the best team in the AFC, certainly one of the favorites in the NFC. And then there are other guys like Stephen A. Smith, who is kind of channeling his inner Juju Smith-Schuster as far as what he's saying about the Browns and this roster. Let's listen to Stephen A. Smith.
Well, they're contenders, but I'm not gonna give them the nod as the favorites because they're the Browns. What can go wrong will go wrong to some degree by Lake Erie. This is what it has been, and this is what it will continue to be. Now, they've obviously improved. You got Baker Mayfield that went up in touchdowns from 22 to 26 from the previous year, but he went down in interceptions from 21 to 8. So Kevin Stefanski deserves a boatload of credit. He did a hell of a job last year as the head coach for the franchise. Him and Barry as the GM, obviously an African-American, very, very proud of what he's doing thus far. They're definitely a contender. I'll give them props and credit for that. I don't know how big of a pickup Clowney is. Remember that Clowney is supposed to be somebody that can register sacks, Max. He's got like 3 in the last 2 years. Not a single sack last year in the 8 games he played in Tennessee, just 3 the year before he played in Seattle. And let's also be honest about the fact that he's lost out because this guy was looking for about 18 to 20 million a year when he ended up departing from Seattle. And now he's signing 1-year deals worth up to $10 million. Obviously, there's incentives in that contract that's going to get him to $10 million. So somewhere along the way, what you feel about him, evidently a lot of people don't because they ain't willing to pay him to have them on their team, the exorbitant amount of dollars that he was looking for. Him being there with Myles Garrett and Sheldon Richardson, I get it. They're formidable, no doubt about it. But when I look at the rest of the AFC, this is the AFC North that we're talking about here. And I think it's the division that has been historically owned by Pittsburgh or Baltimore, and I think that will continue to be the case.
Disagree with that, but that's okay. And again, that was obviously before the Browns released Sheldon Richardson today. I don't think the Browns can necessarily argue with that as far as what history has been, but they're also not into history. What happens this year has nothing to do with the Browns teams of the past.
Yeah, that's really the issue I have with kind of that argument is you can't just look at the team and say, well, they're the Browns. To me, that's just not fair. I think we've seen how this organization has turned it around over the last year, how they've been stabilized with Paul DePodesta and Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. And that's not to say that it is going to be smooth sailing. That's not to say that the Browns couldn't come out next year and for whatever reason end up disappointing and not living up to expectations. It happens in the NFL. But I don't think it's going to be because, the Browns are the Browns. It'll be because some things just go wrong. And I still think a long-term outlook on this team is good. And it seems like ownership, Jimmy Haslam and they've kind of stayed out of things and they haven't meddled as much and they've let Paul DePodesta kind of stabilize the ship. And I think that's the biggest reason to be optimistic. So I'm just not a fan of saying, well, the Browns aren't the favorite because they're the Browns. If you want to make a legitimate case for Baltimore or even Pittsburgh, that's fine. But I don't think saying the Browns are the Browns is the reason that they can't be the favorite.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. A little bit lazy, but it is what it is. And once you continue to do that 1 year, it's one thing. You do it 2, 3, 4 years, and then that narrative just gets pushed to the back.